Now that November 4th, Election Day, has come and gone, it's time to look at, from the perspective of the American people, what Congress should be doing, particularly when it convenes the new House and the new Senate next January. In fact, we asked just that question of the American public before the election. What do you want your representative to Congress to do when he or she shows up in Washington next January? Let's look at the answers. Number one, about a third of Americans spontaneously, in answer to this open-ended question, say, get your house in order. In one way or the other, not issues Americans are talking about, this third of Americans, about fixing the process. You see the answers in front of you. Listen to the people more. Compromise, cooperate, get your act together, get along with each other. Follow through on your promises, do your job, pass some legislation, be honest, and then abide by and follow the Constitution. So that's a large group of open-ended responses focused on the process of governing. Then we have about 1 in 5, 20% of Americans, who spontaneously say the number one priority for Congress next January, the new Congress, is to focus on the economy. A number of different ways of focusing on the economy mentioned by Americans, but the number one category was create jobs. Even though the unemployment rate is down, Americans are still very concerned about jobs. Finally, we have a list of very specific issues. All in all, about 29% of Americans mentioned some specific issue. But what's important here is that unlike previous elections where we had a particular issue, say the Iraq War in 2006, or the Affordable Care Act in 2010, this year, none of these issues come through with a very large majority of Americans saying that they should be looked at by Congress. A lot of issues. The number one issue, improving health care, mentioned by 7%, then immigration, then education, stop the wars, overseas activities, but all of these are less than 10% in terms of the number of people who mention them. So all in all, the mandate from the people to the new Congress in January, number one, get your act together, cooperate, get along, pass legislation, do something rather than bickering. Number two, focus on the economy and jobs. And number three, by the way, the people say, here's a list of issues that you can focus on when you have time. I'm Dr. Frank Newport, Gallup Editor-in-Chief.